Hey everybody, it's Dusty Martin with the Martin Group at Platinum Living Realty. Today we're going to talk about our monthly market update for the towns of Cave Creek and Carefree. It is November 8th, 2023. Buckle up, hit the subscribe button, and let's go. All right, active listings in Cave Creek are down 7.5% over this time last year. A lot of people are screaming how, oh my gosh, inventory's gone up, yada, yada, yada in the last month. Well, to be honest, that's a seasonal normality. We have just returned to normal. Inventory usually goes up at the end of the summer and the beginning of the fall. It's just how things work here. It also didn't help that a lot of people decided to sell their homes because they needed out of whatever equity they are doing, but a lot of buyers were still a little scared. However, with all that said, interest rates went up above 8% last week and then immediately dropped and had one of the biggest drops in decades over the course of 3 or 4 days. So now we're looking right in around the sevens, depending on your approval status. In fact, I know of a buyer that just locked in this week an interest rate of under 6.5% with an FHA loan. So don't listen to the clickbaity people on the news and probably scrolling through social media that are telling you about how not to buy because interest rates are so high. Well, they went up and then they came down, and our historical norm is 7.7%. 2, 3, 4, and even 5% are historically low. So that was a once in a lifetime gig. You're probably not going to see it again, but if you can get an interest rate right now in the sixes, that's pretty good, and I would snag that back up. With that said, our sold listings are down a little bit, 4.4% over this time last year. Again, interest rates this time last year were in the low sevens, and then we went up to just below 8%, and then for a couple days we were over 8%, and then we came right back down into the mid sevens, and like I said, for some even the mid sixes. So with all that said and all that volatility in the market, that's actually not a big deal, especially since, seasonally, the summer months and early fall tend to be pretty slow here in Arizona. Our seasonal residents haven't yet come back. They're just now starting to show up, and I'm just now starting to see evidence that they are here and buying. So keep that in mind. They are just now getting settled, and it's going to be a couple weeks before they really find what it is that they want to do. And then by that time, we will be at Thanksgiving, and then everybody will kind of pause between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So if you're thinking of buying, I would do it maybe then, because you're less likely to have any competition, no matter the price point that you're shopping in during those weeks from Thanksgiving to Christmas. All right. With that said, our median sale price per square foot is up a lot year over year in Cave Creek and Carefree at up over 14.6% over this time last year. That is a lot. A lot of the valley had huge corrections and have topped out year over year, like somewhere between 1 and 3% for a lot of the valley. And to have Cave Creek and Carefree staring at 14.6% increase year over year in a year where we saw inventory skyrocket and then come back down, and then we saw interest rates skyrocket like rather quickly. I think, to be honest, I'd say we've already had our correction, and I'm willing to bet that we're going to see things pick right back up and things are going to get crazy again as we move into next year. Remember, 2024 is a presidential election year, and more often than not, interest rates go down in a presidential election year. It doesn't matter the party in charge. It's just something that tends to happen coincidentally when we have a presidential election year and all of a sudden people are running for re-election and the economy might not being as good as it could be. Just saying, not accusing anybody of anything, but it's highly coincidental. Our months of supply, though, also down. Like I said, our listings are down. That means and our sold listings are not down as much. Our months of supply also down 3.2% over this time last year. However, with Cave Creek and Carefree, remember, we're a little further removed from the rest of the valley and our buyer pool is smaller. We're sitting at 4.6 months of supply. That's just like a half step outside of seller's market territory. I would still expect to see very gentle upward pressure on homes in our area, especially leading into January 1st. We may even see sometimes, a lot of times in our area, we do see a small dip. We see a dip during the summer months because nobody's here and people still haven't gotten the memo that the buyers are gone. And then we usually see a little bit of a dip November and December, mostly because most buyers aren't out shopping, like I mentioned previously. So I wouldn't call that any cause for alarm. This time last year, we had 4.76 months of supply. Knowing that we're trending back down towards the seller's market is something to keep in mind, but also don't be expecting multiple offers and lightning sales and everybody waving everything. That's unrealistic and it's not going to happen unless the home is way underpriced. Now, our median days on market is down 3.2% over this time last year, currently sitting at 60 days. Last year it took 62. So we shaved off 2 days. In other words, about this time of year as a whole between Cave Creek and Carefree, it should take about 2 months to sell your home. That's not a lot of time. Normally in an even stable market, you're looking at probably 90 days on market and an average inventory of 6 months. So that's still pretty strong, but it's not the 2 weeks that we would have seen a year or two ago. Back to normal, everybody. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. And we all need to realize that the heyday is over and we need to regain control of our senses and our sanity. So if you're new here, this would be a good time to take a break, hit pause, hit the subscribe button, get a drink, do whatever you got to do, because next we're going to drop into the months of supply by price point. This is important because if you are buying or selling, you need to know what you are up against. If you're buying, you need to know if there's going to be multiple offers, but if you're selling, you also need to know what you need to compete with in order to get your home sold. With that said, let's just jump right into it. Our overall months of supply, like I said, was 4.6 months of supply. Our 0 to 100,000 and 100 to $200,000 price ranges, there's no data, mostly because our area is kind of just priced out of that. We no longer hardly ever have inventory in those price ranges. So if we don't have inventory, we don't have anything we can calculate because there's nothing to sell. And in order to calculate months of supply, you need to know how many are available and how many are selling. And if there are none, then that just means 0. Then we're going to look at the $200,000 to $300,000 price range. There was literally only 2 homes available and 1 sold. That leaves us with a 2-month supply of inventory. That's not a lot. You may see multiple offers. If my guess is that one that came on the market towards the end of September probably sold in October. And now a new one has come on the market. So, we've got 2 months worth of inventory and that one probably will be sold soon as long as it's priced and marketed appropriately. Looking at our $300,000 to $500,000 price range, this is where we're starting to see a lot of our condos just start now. And even then, there's not a lot. There's only 4 available, 1 sold, leaves us with 4 months worth of inventory. That is considered a seller's market. However, it's not lightning hot. You're not going to see people waving everything. But I suspect as our seasonal residents come back and going into January, there will be higher demand for those homes. And therefore, we probably won't see them on the market for very long. Then we're going to look at our $500,000 to $700,000 price range. We are in a seller's market, albeit not a crazy one, at 3.11 months of supply. You're going to see gentle upward pressure on the home sale prices. However, you're not going to see buyers waving everything. And if you do see multiple offers, it'll probably be just 1 or 2 others competing with you. It's probably not going to be like 5 or 15 or 30. But there will be gentle upward pressure. You might have to come in at full price as opposed to 10 grand under. So keep that in mind, know what you're working with, but also make sure you've hired an agent, hint, hint, to make sure that you're not giving away too much as a buyer either. Because if there's no other offers, there's no reason to offer full price, right? Unless it truly is a fair price for the property and you think so. Then we're going to look at our $700,000 to $1 million price range. This is sitting at 3.67 months of supply, much the same as the $500,000 to $700,000 price range. These two are going to see very similar patterns. Not a whole lot of fighting and squabbling among buyers. Sellers do have a little bit of 3 months worth of inventory to compete with, but you still will see gentle upward pressure on those home prices. So are you going to have to waive everything to get under contract? Probably not. But keep in mind, if the home is the prettiest girl on the block and it is priced the prettiest, if you catch my drift, you might see another offer or two in the mix. Then we're going to look at our $1 to $3 million range. This is where the largest chunk of our homes now in Cave Creek and Carefree are listed. And we're currently sitting at 5.37 months of supply in that price range. That's not a seller's market, but it's also not a buyer's market. It's more even. You're probably only going to see sale prices or sale to list price ratios at about 96, 97, 98% of list price. It will be very important to make sure your home is listed properly, priced properly, marketed properly, and staged properly, because you have a lot of competition. Is it a buyer's market? No, but you're going to see those prices in more of a holding pattern, right? And as more seasonal residents show up, I would suspect it's going to be a little dormant and maybe even a little slower. And you may even see inventory kind of kick up and increase until about January 1. And then it'll be off to the races. Everybody's put their Christmas stuff away and they're ready to go buy or sell their home. That's usually when things get busy around here. So keep that in mind. If you're looking to buy in this price range, I would do it now while most people are gearing up for the holidays, because you won't have as much competition, right? So if you're thinking of wanting to move in the new year, maybe explore the opportunities and the possibilities of just buying now and seeing if there is something that you can make work, and maybe pick something up for a slightly better price than you will in 3 or 4 months. Then moving on to our $3 million price range and over. This is a price range that we're starting to see more of in Cave Creek and Carefree, but it's also not a super common price range in Cave Creek and Carefree, right? Not to mention our buyer pool for that price range is much smaller, simply because we're a little further out. It's a little more rural out here, and some people just want to be closer to the freeway or still working. And so this price range is not for everybody out here. We're currently sitting at an 18-month supply of inventory. In other words, it could take you a year and a half at this rate to sell your home over $3 million in Cave Creek and Carefree. With that said, you need to be cognizant of the fact that that is also seasonably normal for this price range in Cave Creek and Carefree. This time last year, we had a 14-month supply. I think interest rates going up and not as many people knowing that they came back down a little bit. With that many people not knowing what happened in the market, I think there's a lot of people who are on the sidelines or have been impacted by their affordability in terms of how much interest rates have changed. But on the other hand, this is not typically the busy season for this price point either. It is incredibly normal in our market to see 18 months of supply 1 month and 6 months the next, 3 months worth of supply 1 month and 18 the next. So keep that in mind. It is a price range, especially for our area, that swings very wildly from one side to the other, like a big pendulum, right? It just kind of fluctuates back and forth. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's not a whole lot of homes available in that price range. And so just a couple sales can bring that number way, way down. If you're wondering what your home would sell for in today's market, or if you're thinking of buying a home in Cave Creek or Carefree, go ahead and give me a call, 480-717-9405, or visit my website at dustimartinrealtor.com.